Hello friends and welcome. Today I wanted to share a hero that I've been having a blast with as a support. I don't have this completely figured out and optimized, so keep in mind there's going to be some flexibility here, but I wanted to share it with you all before it gets changed because there's often, another patch after the first big one, and maybe this won't be as good after that. So I wanted to share it now. It is Nature's Prophet. Now last patch a lot of people thought maybe Nature's could be a support, and it made sense. The map's big, right? So he could move around with the teleport, but it just felt a little lacking. This patch, they added damage to Sprout, so when you are in the trees or a little bit on the outside, pretty much touching the trees from the outside, you will take damage over time. Plus, if you tango one of the Sprout trees, you don't get any regen. This change has improved his laning stage a ton and given him more farming potential. So now I think he is a pretty good support. I think 4 or 5 works, but I actually prefer 5. The reason is because I think a big part of his strength as a support is the global teleport, right? Show up wherever you want. The 5 tends to stay in the lane, helping the carry, while the 4 is already roaming around. So when you play 4 Nature's Prophet, I don't think it's like new, right? Like you rotate around, but like the 4 already did that. It is by playing him as a 5 where people don't expect, like a Dazzle, a Witch Doctor, those kind of 5s to show up to all these gangs throughout the map. So to me, that's why he works a little bit better as a 5. It is changing the dynamic of how many people actually show up to these fights, and that's part of why I've been having so much success with it. First, let's talk about Sprout, because I think it's why he is now viable. It will do damage every half-second interval, and you can see here the duration is 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so I thought, okay, 84 damage, 160 damage, 260 damage, 384 damage. That sounds great. That sounds reasonable. It's more than that because the damage starts as soon as you place your trees, so it's instant. And the aura lingers for half a second. So, for example, at 3 seconds, you would think you have 6 ticks of damage. You actually have 8 ticks of damage. So at level 1, this spell does 112 damage. Maxed out, it does 448 damage without reductions. Now, of course, you can Quelling Blade, you can Tango, you have some kind of like mobility escape. You can get out of the trees and you're not going to take damage. But in the early game, many heroes don't have a way to get out of Sprout, and if they're using tangos, they're not regenning because of the other change to Sprout. That means although you didn't do much damage to them, you technically just removed some of their possible regen. So in the laning stage, I have just been starting with Sprout. I use it in a lot of first blood attempts. The cooldown is honestly quite low, so you can just like chase people, keep sprouting them. And while they're sprouted, there is a little bit of difficulty where your melee teammates maybe can't get in range to hit, but you can take that time to kind of like surround them in the Sprout. Your ranged heroes can all hit in that time. And 3 seconds pass, that means you only have 9 more seconds until your next Sprout. And when it's like up to a 6-second duration and a 9-second, that means there's only like 3 seconds where you don't have a Sprout going. So it's not quite a stun, it's not quite a slow, but many heroes who don't have a way to get out of the trees, this works as a form of lockdown where you just get to hit them from afar. Now, if they are longer range than you, then they can just stand and hit back and cast spells, and in the end, that's kind of even. But many supports, many cores can't do that, and so in the lane, I've just been sprouting people and just whack them a couple times. I've been wrecking them, and if they waste tangos, they don't realize they don't get regen, then all the better. The other great thing about Sprout is that it is another way to farm, because it is technically this AoE damaging spell, and heroes might get out of the trees, but creeps, they don't. They just stand there stuck in the trees, and you either get to hit them, or you can even just drop Sprout in the creep wave and then walk away. So this has improved his farming a lot, and that's why the skill build that I'm currently set on goes Q, W, Q, and then I think you could get a point in Nature's Call, possibly even start with one, use it to scout, use it to play out the stuff. I would probably do a build like this maybe if I did that. But I've been kind of skipping it because I don't really need it. In the past, you needed this to trade well, but they're kind of weaker than they were in the past, and Sprout's stronger than ever. Plus, you use them to farm, to tank creeps for you. Now Sprout just blocks the creeps from getting to you, so I kind of just replace them with Sprout. Now, of course, they can tank the tower, which Sprout will not do for you, and I think that part's interesting, and that's why like maybe 1 point in it is worth it, either here at 4, maybe a little earlier, later at 8, but the games I've had the most success on, I feel like I've just been skipping Nature's Call. And I get Sprout maxed out the fastest to do the most damage to enemies, to help me farm the most, and then I get the teleport cooldown as low as possible to speed up how quickly I can move around the map. and then I take Nature's Call after that. We take Wrath of Nature whenever we can because it's a very powerful ability. Don't just use it to farm. That's the kind of griefing Nature's Prophet supports. Save it when there are ganks, when there are team fights, and then pop it somewhere else on the map so that the bounces hopefully then connect to the fight you are watching, and it'll do a huge chunk of damage. And while it's bouncing around, maybe you should be teleporting in, which is another change. This ability didn't used to have this. It is the max stack. So the way this works is you teleport in, you get 6, 8, 10, or 12 stacks of damage, and for every stack, you get 6 damage. Every time you attack, one of those stacks goes down and your armor stack goes up. So after 3 attacks, you will only have 3 stacks left, meaning you have 18 damage and you have 3 armor. These stacks, specifically the damage, have helped a lot with these early ganks where I am rotating around. People just don't expect that amount of damage, especially because you have a Blightstone, you are doing extra damage with the Sprout. It has just been really powerful for several of these ganks that I have tried playing this hero. Talent-wise, the Wrath of Nature base damage works well because every bounce is going to scale up, so the more damage you have, the more scaling there is. The Nature's Call down, or Nature's Call cooldown, I think if you need to break trees could work, like Monkey King, maybe a Treant Protector. I tried it against Monkey King. It felt okay, but I think this left talent's probably better in general. For 15, if you're going for a shard in the items, which we'll talk about in a moment, the treants count towards the shard damage. Then I think you definitely want this talent, or if you're trying to rat a lot, then you want this talent. But if you're going for a more right-click focus, then maybe the left talent works. I don't know. This is one of the things I think needs to be optimized more, but I've tried both. They both seem like kind of good depending on the situation. For 20, Sprout Leash works really well against mobility heroes. They can still force staff or cut the trees and walk out, but if they don't have anything to do that, then they'll be leashed inside there. They can't use their usual mobility spells. If you don't need any of that, then you can go ahead and maybe try the Miss Chance. But I do think the nice thing about Sprout Leashes is it gives you a way to cancel TPs. If you haven't built anything for that, which maybe you're working towards a Hex, could work, but this will also cancel TPs, which I think is quite nice. Neither of these pierce BKB, by the way, so keep that in mind. Then for 25, I think no teleport cooldown is without a doubt the better talent, so that's all I gotta say. For starting items, I've been trying something like this: Tangos, Blightstone, Blood Grenade, and then some Iron Branches. If you want a stick, just replace the Blightstone, grab the Magic Stick, probably buy another Iron Branch or 2. Sentry if you need it, if not, replace that with an Iron Branch. The main thing we're looking for is a lot of right-click harass. You don't need to buy too much regen. Feel free to buy more Tangos or a Salve. I have done that. You don't need to get too much mana. I've been casting Sprout a lot, and honestly, I don't have too many mana issues, because another part of Nature's Prophet is that once you hit level 2, we take our point in teleport. You can honestly just TP home when you get really low and then teleport back out. Now you can't do that too often because the teleport scroll costs money and all that. But it's a nice way to just top up all your resources after you take a big trade, maybe get some kills. You go home, come back, brand new Nature's Prophet, topped up with all his items and everything. So because of that, you don't really need to buy too many mangoes or clarities, top up too much on a ton of tangos and salves. But of course, I think there will be situations for that when it looks like a very heavy fighting lane. If it's a good Spirit Vessel game, you can go ahead and grab that, and in that case, you might swap out the Blightstone for a Circlet and maybe work towards this Ring of Protection. Kind of depends what else you bought, but you can buy the Urn pretty quickly. So those have been the 2 main builds I've gone for, is a fast Solar Crest or a fast Spirit Vessel. Along the way, I buy boots, but it kind of depends. Sometimes I've actually just rushed the Solar Crest or rushed the Spirit Vessel. It depends how well I've done. But I do think, safe bet, if you're not sure, just grab the boots first and then work towards these items. The Magic Wand works out really well. I buy the stick in the laning stage usually. Because I'm teleporting between all these fights, it means I'm picking up lots of stick charges. So I'd definitely grab one of these if you're playing support. From here, it kind of depends. Nature's Prophet has a very flexible item build, it feels like. So the shard does do a ton of damage. With your Q and you activate the shard, you can easily do over 1,000 damage to any hero trapped in the trees. So if you think there's going to be a lot of fighting around the tree lines, then the shard does feel good. If you want to go for more right-click power, I think a Maelstrom, I haven't tried yet, but I've seen some people do, and I want to try out myself. Could be good. In that same line, I would probably grab some Power Treads as well. I think Orchid could work if you need that kind of silence on your team. The Aghanims, I've seen Brown Boots Aghanims or Power Treads Aghanims. This is really good for team fight, having the Entangle on all heroes. Drums, if it's a good drums game, feels nice on Natures. It gives you that rat potential if you want. Meteor Hammer, we did try once. I didn't think it would be great, and I feel like I was correct. With this new Sprout, I don't feel you need Meteor Hammer. You can just farm really quickly with Sprout. You can participate in fights with the Sprout and just the right-click teleportation damage. So I don't think you need like any extra Sprout stun setup or anything like that. Like, you just Sprout and hit people. That's your contribution in fights. That's how you farm. And if you want to push towers, kill people, shove in lanes with those abilities, and then hit a tower. I don't feel the Meteor Hammer is necessary. Now, as a general default build, I think something like Solar Crest, Shard, Ags would probably be pretty safe. But like I just said, I think it's very flexible, and you can kind of scale into a core because you get tons of farm on this hero, which I want to give you guys a warning. Do not just ult to farm, and do not just teleport to places to farm. The teleport is for showing up to ganks. So walk to places you want to farm that your team cannot go to. Go to those areas. Like if your team's pushing bottom, right, you go to the top half of the map, either push the lane out for your team or farm the jungle there, and as soon as you see something happen, you're going to teleport in. Maybe even preemptively you think something's happening, you're going to teleport in, participate. You don't want to take farm where your teammates are. You have the global mobility. Go to places of the map where your team cannot be and take that farm. That is how you're getting gold without just hurting your carry, your mid, and they were like, where are their items? You took all their gold, so now they have no items. So make sure you're not taking their gold. Make sure you're taking it from somewhere else. I haven't won every game I've played with this hero, but I've won all the lanes I've been in, and then I feel like I have a lot of impact, but I just like messed stuff up because I was still figuring out this hero. So I kind of shared what I think works best here, but I know there's a lot more optimization to be had. So leave comments. Let me know if you guys try it out, how you feel about it. What do you think, like, will the best way to play it be? Because I feel like there's a lot of potential here. Just got to sort it out. If you want to see more examples of it being played, you can check the VOD. I will link it in the description. We played a lot of games. I'm going to play more of them. So if you want to drop by the stream, I will be working on this there as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll maybe see you at the stream or in a future video. Bye.